and we had a leak about 15 years ago or so. A lot of water got in here. Dried it up the best we could, but I was afraid in time it might rot some places out. Well, about 15 years later, whatever, we started getting a soft spot right in here that you walk on it just like a sponge. So I decided to cut into this and see what I could find out. And this is just my first time. So what I did, I took a drill and drilled, I tore a little bit of the soft spot out, but I took a drill and drilled in a few holes, and I measured it, and this plywood here on top is 3/4 inch. So I took my saw, and I measure the distance from here to the blade, approximately 3/4 inch, just a little under, because I wanted to be sure, wasn't sure what I might be cutting into. And I looked for the nails that were around, and I knew that was some type of support under there, because there's about 7-8 nails, and they are supports that are into these 2x4s. And I didn't want to quite go all the way down, and I wasn't sure what was going to be underneath, which is a cement floor. So I set this, and I get it in position. I took a square and I made a straight line all the way around where I knew I was going to have to cut, but I didn't want to cut very deep into these 2x4s underneath. So after I got this blade set to just a little under 3/4, then I raised this up, keeping this mark here on the line, and I slowly start lowering it down in there, and then once it's down in there, I just follow the lines and cut all the way around. And I did cut into some of the old rusty nails, which that will happen, but you got to cut over enough to have some type of support. Under here there is no support. It goes farther out here somewhere. So what they had was another 2x4 under here just for support across, which that's what I'll put back in. But you want to try to keep this as straight and square as possible, so when you cut your next piece, it'll pretty much line up. Then these old rusty nails in here, I tried getting them out with a breaker bar. They won't come out, the heads just pop and snap off. Well, that's the first one I was able to get out. Most of the time the heads were just busting off of them. So if you do that, you just have to knock these nails down, and then when you put your new piece in, nail it, or I'll be screwing it down into these supports underneath and putting a block under here, making sure it's level. But when I looked online, I couldn't find anything about being over top of cement, and I didn't know how deep to go. So this was just guesswork for me, so I actually cut into it about 3 different times, because I didn't want to cut the supports up or nothing underneath. This 2x4 here is the same height as these other ones. So after I cut it out, I want to slide it about halfway under here. So it has support on both sides. That way I'll put screws in on both sides of these boards here. It gives us support here in the middle. take my other piece, lay it on top that I just cut out. Luckily I had an old piece around. And I will screw that down to the floor, to those other bars underneath. I'll countersink it. So I drill countersink hole, a small countersink bit, and put these screws down into here. Already pre-drilled the others, and you just want to make sure that your screw heads are flat so it doesn't come up through your carpet or anything once you have over it. Well, this is after it's finished. At the last minute I decided to put another support right in the middle across in here because I could feel a little bit of give. Now it's very, very solid. More solid than it was when we got the house.